Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Purut Zakir. I welcome you all on HHS Online Learning. Today we will discuss how to find out the perimeter of the composite figures. Let's just see what are composite figures. Composite figures are the figures which are made up of two or more figures like triangles, squares, rectangles, semicircle or any other two-dimensional figures. Here you can see this composite figure is made up of a square and a triangle. Another composite figure is made up of a rectangle and a semicircle. Now, how we can find out the perimeter of these kind of figures? Let's see what is perimeter. Perimeter is the sum of all the sides of any shape. When we talk about the perimeter of the composite figure, it is the sum of the length of all the sides. To find the perimeter of a composite figure, we have to find out the distance around the figure. Here you can see this composite figure is made up of two semicircles and a rectangle. If we want to find out the perimeter of this figure, we have to find out the distance around this figure. Look at the word example. The figure shows a semicircle with a diameter of 70 centimeter. We have to find out the perimeter of this figure. You can see this is a semicircle with a diameter 70 centimeter. First, we have to recall the formula or recall what perimeter is. Perimeter is the sum of all the sides of the figure, of any composite figure. To find out the perimeter of this figure, we need to know the circumference of the semicircle and we have to add the diameter because this is the boundary of the figure. The formula for the semicircle circumference is pi r. Here, the diameter of the circle is 70 centimeter. We can calculate the radius by dividing the diameter by 2. By substitute the value 70 as the diameter, so the radius of this semicircle is 35 centimeters. Now we will substitute the values of the circumference of the circle and the diameter to have the perimeter of this figure. The value of pi, as we know, that circumference of a semicircle is pi r. So the value of pi is 22 upon 7 and radius is equals to 35. We have to add diameter because this is also the boundary. When we simplify 7 and 35, we got 5. So the perimeter is 22 multiplied by 5 plus 70. After further simplification, the perimeter is 180 centimeters for this figure. We just have to remember that the perimeter is the sum of all sides. Let's look at another example. This figure shows a circle of radius 14 centimeter with one quadrant removed, touching the side of a square. We have to find out the perimeter of the shaded region. Now you can see there is a square and there is a circle as well. But one part of the quadrant is removed. So we can calculate the perimeter of this figure by calculating the perimeter of the square and adding the circumference of the semicircle. Here you can see a semicircle and circumference of the quadrant plus the radius. Here this is the radius and another radius. So we have to add 2 radius. That means 2r. Now we will look at the formulas for these perimeter of square and perimeter of semicircle or circumference of semicircle or circumference of the quadrant. The perimeter of a square is 4L. The circumference of semicircle is pi r. The circumference of the quadrant is 1 upon 2 pi r. Now we will calculate and substitute the values. As we know that perimeter of the figure is equals to the circumference of the semicircle, which is 22 pi upon pi is equals to 22 upon 7 multiplied by 14, which is the radius here, plus 1 upon 2 pi r, which is 22 upon 7 multiplied by 14 again, plus 2r because r is 14. So we are multiplying 2 by 14 plus 4 multiplied by 28. This 4 is 4 sides and 28 is the length of the side of the square. We got this 28 because we know that the radius of the semicircle is 14. If this is 14, that means the diameter is 28. It shows that this side is 20 of the square is 28. And we know that all the sides of a square are always same. So we will be using 28 as the length and 4L as the formula for the perimeter of the square. By simplifying this equation, we got 22 multiplied by 2 because then 7 and 14 simplified, we get 2. When we simplify 1 upon 2 multiplied by 22 upon 7 multiplied by 14, we got 11 multiplies by 2 because 2 and 22 can be simplified by 11 and 7 and 14 can be simplified by 2. So we are left with 11 multiplied by 2. When we multiply 14 by 2, it becomes 28 and 28 multiplies by 4 is equals to 112. When we further simplify this, we will have the values as 44 plus 22 plus 28 plus 112. The sum of this all is 206 centimeters is the perimeter of this figure, the perimeter of the shaded region. You can see this is the perimeter of the shaded region. Now this is a home task for you guys. We have to find out the perimeter of the shaded region in the figure below. You can see this figure. This is also a composite figure. If you look at it carefully, you will understand that this figure is made up of by cutting out a semicircle from a rectangle whose sides are 25 centimeter and 14 centimeter. You have to solve this question in your notebook and you have to upload the images of the solution in the Google Classroom. I hope you understand. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.